Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Trump is on a rampage. Fair use, fair use, fair use. I don't own this content. I'm not making any money off this content. I'm just using it for educational purposes. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
Trump administration imposing large tariffs on goods imported from Canada, Mexico, and China. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood with the details.
The Trump administration announcing steep tariffs on imports from three of America's biggest trading partners.
There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
The president hitting Canada and Mexico with 25% tariffs and 10% hitting Canada and Mexico with 25% tariffs and 10% tariffs on China, blaming those countries for hitting Canada and Mexico with 25% tariffs and 10% tariffs on China, blaming those countries.
There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
The president.
Yeah, see, people understand that as the short-term disruptions, which is pretty much what the imported goods that come in from these different places, which is a lot of stuff, which is means that they, if they do that and these nations decide not to send their stuff in, then there's going to be a shortage on a lot of stuff. You get a lot of avocados and, different liquor and, just all type of goods that come from these different countries. And, America is a consumer nation. So it's going to be bad, out here for, if this continues on for a long period of time. Because you have to remember that in this supply chain, since 2020, they've been breaking the supply chain down. And, they only have so much in store because, they've got to the point where the supply chain was so tight that you wouldn't have to really have 3 or 4 days or a week worth of stuff on stock, at a particular place. They would just be able to order it, and that same day you can get these goods from different places where they already set them up. But ever since 2020, where they disrupted pretty much the supply chain, it's been harder to get certain products already. So just imagine now, these different restaurants from Mexico, whatever it is, corn and just different things that they get, how much harder it's going to be for them, which pretty much means that that this tax is going to really fall on the people. It's not really going to fall on the government. It's not going to fall on anybody else but on the people. Because if you want these goods, guess what? You got to pay more. And that's going to cause the supply chain that they already have in place to go even lower than what it is, which means there's going to be higher prices, the inflation, supply and demand, whoever has it, they can charge. If you paid $1.50, $2 for avocado, which shit is ridiculous, but you may have to pay $5, $6, $7 for just one avocado, depending on how bad it gets, so we'll see. This is 2 Ezra chapter 6 and verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. And this is where we're heading, man, Jacob's trouble is going to be predicated upon fear and hunger, thirst. That's going to bring the biggest, problem to Jake. And right now, as we speak, you have these so-called immigration, they're rounding up the immigrants, so-called immigrants, which is affecting, Israelites that are already here from the Northern Kingdom. Whether you're Puerto Rican or whether you're someone that was born in America that's here legally and all of that, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect Benjamin. It's going to affect, Levi. It's going to affect, certain Judites that they can grab up in these times. And it's also even affecting Gad because now they're, after all of this, because the whole plan anyways was to come against the Israelites. And we're going to come back to this, but let me get another precept. The whole plan is to come against the Israelites anyway, but they just use that as a guise, because there's a lot more people here than just the tribes. You have Moabites and Ammonites, and and you have Elamites and Ishmaelites and Hamites that are here, coming from different places of the world that did come through South America. But why is the main focus on the so-called Latin tribes, which really the so-called Latin tribes is just a gateway to Gad, Judah, Benjamin, Levi in this country, because the biggest threat to the New World Order are the Israelites, especially the ones that know who they are, and in general, the Israelites, because these devils, as much as they say that, they're not Edomites and that the Edomites is in the way with, and that we're not the Israelites, their main focus is to destroy the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which indeed are the Israelites. That is their main goal. 2 News 16 and 67, behold, go, the Most High himself is the judge, fear him, leave off from your sins and forget your iniquities, to meddle no more with them forever. So shall the Most High lead you forth and deliver you from all trouble, because trouble is coming. The time of Jacob's trouble is brewing. It's like that percolating pot of coffee, or that steaming tea kettle that's about to, about to warn you that the water is ready, and it's been boiling for a while. It's been a slow boil, and now we're getting into the heart of it. We're getting into the heart of it. All right. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. Why? Because this is the time of the Lord's judgment. And remember, Esau himself and his military is the Heavenly Father's whipping stick. He used them to conquer the indigenous, tribes of the so-called Americas, beginning from Canada all the way down and to South America and everything in between, and he brought Judah, Benjamin, and Levi over here with them. And these same devils, they've been whipping the world, and now the world is tired of them. They want them out. Yes, Noriega, that drug dealer, that drug selling, drug pushing, drug dealer. Yes, we want them out. Inside joke. Psalm 17:13. Arise, O Yahweh Bashem Shai, disappoint him. Who? Esau. Why? Because the Lord gave him the instrument or the blessing of the sword, which is his gun. And they have a mission. And that mission, is to delete a majority of the people on the planet, especially the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. When you watch these futuristic movies, you barely, if any time, see a Jake in there. It's mostly all Edomites, maybe a couple of Moabites and, other nations, but you barely ever see a Jake, especially the men. You might have a Jake woman here and there, but mostly it's just Esau and maybe a handful of the other nations. Cast him down. Why? Because they are exalted. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. So the wicked is the sword of the Most High. They are the ones that the Lord used as a whipping stick. That's why he said that they do not bear the sword in vain. See? From men which are thy hand, because the Lord has been using these devils to whip, to whip us pretty much. But they took it overboard, and now they're going to have to pay for that. Zechariah 1:15. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen, which are the nations that are at ease. This is talking about the actual heathen. For I was but a little displeased. The Lord was a little angry with us, and they helped forward the affliction. So they're the ones that brought the affliction to the extremities. And Esau has been the one that's been the shedder of the blood of the Israelites on a high scale. And you're going to have to pay for that. Let's go real quick to Ezekiel 35, and we're going to come back. Ezekiel 35 and 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Now, this goes back to the Babylonian Empire, but you could apply this today also, because they've shed the blood of the Israelites, especially here, both southern and northern kingdom. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, I will prepare thee unto blood. And that's where the Lord is setting you up. Got the prophets out here prophesying, reading you your judgment, or reading you your sentence, and afterwards the Lord is going to bring the judgment, and blood shall pursue thee. Because all of this blood, you have something called the statute of limitation, and there is no statute of limitation in your penal system for murder. Doesn't matter if you committed murder when you're 18 years old. You could be 87 years old. And if they catch you, guess what? They're going to bring those charges against you. So the Heavenly Father does not have a statute of limitation on murder. It says, since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. And that's why you haven't had that much peace since you've been ruling in this empire called America. You've been at war the majority of the time that you've been in power. There's been, it's almost, your empire is about to reach, next year is about to reach the 250th year. And out of all those 250 years, you've been at war more than like 85 to 90% of the time. Why? Because it's a perpetual thing that Lord got you mixed up in, because he's about to bring judgment on your bitch ass. So Psalm 17:14, from men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. And this is the reason why these devils believe that the Most High is with them, because he hasn't really brought it to them. He hasn't really judged them. He hasn't really hit them, with judgment as he does with us. And that's why they believe these can't be the people of God. Look how we treated them. Look how we got them. Look at the situation we got them in. Look at how low they are. Look at how destitute they are. They're out there bugged out on drugs, selling drugs, killing each other. The women are a bunch of hoes. They're killing off their babies. The men a lot of them are a bunch of moles. They're adulterers, But you created that environment for our people. Although it doesn't, excuse them from the wickedness that they're doing, but you created that cesspool of an environment for Jake to be in, and you're going to be dealt with, because you, on the other hand, you're accusing us to the Father of these things, but you're the one that's providing the infrastructure for it. And that's what the Lord said, that you think you're going to be unpunished. We had to be punished. You think you're going to go unpunished? And pretty much you're doing all of this because you're trying to gain your birthright back that you lost to our forefather Jacob when he supplanted you. You're trying to gain that back. So you figure that by making us or providing an environment, a toxic environment for Jake, and having Jake destroy themselves, that the Lord will finally look down and say, you know what? I'm tired of these people. I'm going to take Esau back. It ain't going to happen, dog. I don't know if they went up there and told you and briefed you on that. I don't know if you got the memo or not. So back in 2 Ezra 16 and 68, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle. And when you're idle, IDLE, means you're in a position or a place where there's not much movement. So that means you're in a concentrated place with a bunch of people in a cage or in cages. All right, with them prodding you and questioning you and interrogating you and seeing what your mindset is to know what they can do with you. Do we eliminate this person? Do we re-educate them? Let's see if they'll take this micro C-hip or whatever the case may be, to see if they're going to be a good slave or if we're going to have a problem with them. It says, and they shall, okay, I just read that, Salakia. And with things offered unto idols, right? Because the idols, would be pretty much their New World Order, which pretty much is in a veneration to their God, is this micro C-hip, which they plan on implanting into people. Because at that point, you no longer become a servant of the Most High. You become a servant, a perpetual slave of these devils. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. And even the ones that help you, that are sellouts, that do help you establish this vision or get to that point where you will establish it, they're going to be cast right into that pit with the rest of the Israelites. Because when Esau don't need you, he discards you. Or he'll be your friend. He'll make you believe that you down, because of whatever information or things you can provide from. But once he doesn't need you anymore, once you outlive your usefulness, he's gonna throw you right in the pit. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, which are the Israelites. And to put it into more perspective or context, the elect, the ones that know that they're Israelites, but Jake in general, because the biggest threat to the New World Order are the Israelites. And that's why they can't believe how much this truth has grown when they have infiltrated the school way back in the days, back in the 90s, possibly even the 80s. I don't know all the different histories, but I've heard, about different things that happen, Rosicrucians coming up with, suitcases full of money, blank checks and all of that, trying to stop this word, this little old word, that was at this little old school with a few men, that didn't go to school, college or nothing like that, but were inspired by the Spirit of the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, going all the way back to a man by the name of Elder Abba Bivens, which if you can receive it, that is Elijah the prophet coming back, also John the Baptist, and many other great men in the past, if you can receive it. So why was it so important for them to pay off this little old school with this handful of men, with this knowledge that was coming out of there, if it was just a bunch of BS? Inquiring minds want to know. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And that's pretty much what they are planning on doing. So all of this stuff that you see right now happening in the news and, these tariffs and, the hard times and the inflation and all that, that's all contributing to the collapse of society, especially here in America, where people are used to a comfortable life. They're not used to hardships like they are in third world countries. So all of this is mounting up. So these tariffs, that 25% tariffs that Trump is putting on Mexico and Canada and China, if they want to sell their goods here, they got to pay more, which means that's going to fall on who? On the consumer, which is the average American out here. And that they are already catching hell. So just imagine if you were able to get 4 avocados for $5, now you might be able only to get one for $7. Remember how the price of eggs and all this other stuff was going up? People were like, what the hell is this? $200 and some odd dollars to get, like some beat up chicken wings or something like that. And that's what's going to cause the panic of these people out here, and pretty much uprisings and, looting. And that's going to bring what? Chaos, which is what the bankers want, because their motto is what? Order out of chaos. And that's why Biden represented chaos and Trump represents so-called order, because he's bringing in and establishing the New World Order for them. He is the savior of the New World Order, not of the world, not of the American people. So it says, and this is our 2 Ezra 6:22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. All right. It says, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. Yeah, because that is, what the trumpet was set up for. It was set up as a warning system, and depending on how, and it says that that the trumpet shall give a sound, and this particular sound is a sound of war, distress, chaos, confusion. Amos 3:6. It says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid? Right. So if you hear the sound of the trumpet in the city, depending on how that trumpet was sounding, you would know that if it was a gathering or if it was war or if it was impending danger. Shall there be evil in the city and the Lord have not done it? So the Lord is the one that's bringing this chaos, because it is all a part of his plans. It's what makes the movie go in the direction that the Lord wrote it in, for lack of better words. So back in 2 Ezra 6 and 23, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. It says, at that time shall friend fight one against another like enemies, right? Because you're going to have people that live next door to each other that if you run out of something and you go next door, can I get a cup of this or a cup of that, or can I, borrow some milk, or can I borrow this or that or the other? Yeah, no worries. And they say, when I get my check on Friday, I'll make sure I reimburse you, or, if you need anything, come by. That's going to stop, because everyone is going to be, it's going to be every man for himself, and that whole, they already broke the since 2020, they already broke that connection between people that used to be prevalent, in the world, especially here in America. They broke that down, so it's like now communication between people, like you see people in the street, you just try to say hello to them, they act like they want to fight you, because they're detaching people from their emotions. That's why it says the love of many shall wax cold. They're detaching people from their emotions, because they want a nation of animals, because animals could create chaos, because there will be no scruples, there will be no boundaries. When you get hungry and you don't have and somebody else has, you're going to want to get what they got. It says, and at that time shall friend fight against one another, one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, right? Droughts, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation in the end of the world. This is talking about Jacob's trouble. All right, Jacob's trouble. So these tariffs can cause a whole bunch of problems. And he's, Trump is, because this ain't going to affect him. It's going to affect the average American. So let's hear this part again.
Tariffs on imports from 3 of America's biggest trading partners.
And there could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
The president
has some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that. Now, this is the narrative. This is what they play. This is what they say. Because once you're in the thick of it, and let's say these countries like, man, F you, I ain't gonna send you nothing, then whatever's left here is gonna go. It's gonna skyrocket, because it's gonna be what they call supply and demand. Like when the 2020 hit, you would go to like gas stations, and these goddamn Ishmaelites, the Arabs, they will sell you a little fucking bottle of alcohol for $15, which you could have got at the store for like 39, 49, 59, 79 cents, 89 cents, even a buck. So they cornered the market on that. Chlorine and different things that you were able to get at one time, they hiked the prices up, and then you could get 1 or 2 per customer, which now you could go and get hydrogen peroxide in alcohol and all that, no problem. But back then you couldn't, and you had to pay a lot more for it. And that's people are already catching hell trying to pay bills and eat, and get to work, put gas in their car and all of that. So just imagine with this extra 25% added on top of all of that. Like my man Gerald Salente said, when people have nothing to lose, they lose it. So hey, brothers, a few sisters out there, man, 2025 has been a very interesting year so far. We just made it to February. One month already gone. That quick, bam. Now we're in February. So just keep your eyes open for what's going on. Oh, and by the way, there was a couple of sisters that came by, and beautiful sisters, I never met them before. I heard of one of the sisters, and we saw them. From time to time they bring bring alms to brothers, to show their appreciation for the teachings of the word. And like I said, we met them. They saluted us, we saluted them, gave them a hug, anointed them and their children. And how it is. We told them, hey, I know we're hard on the women. They said, no, we don't take it like that. we get mad when y'all get mad at these women, you know. So some beautiful, you know, you do have some beautiful sisters out there that's doing the best they can, you know. Hey, we ain't perfect. None of us are perfect. So everybody's trying to do the best they can. So you sisters out there that's really striving and doing this work, just keep on fighting, keep on doing, you know, what you've been doing, and all we could do is keep doing what we've been doing and hope for the best, you know. So it was beautiful to see that, you know, a different perspective from Eve, you know, as to the regular clone Tyrone, you know, Big Shirley and Keisha spirit, you know. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.